Um, our first question is, what changes have you seen throughout the Southern community over the time you've lived there?
Um, you know, very similar probably to the changes that you see across the country. Our sense of community is a little bit unique. However, for instance, I was in a meeting this week in Memphis with about 70 leaders from my division of my company. And so our markets are all southern markets, but you have a lot of people, like there were several representatives from Nashville and Memphis, and a lot of them are from other. I mean, it's a lot more people moving in, and so not everybody is from where they live now. Where probably once upon a time it was a lot more homogenous. In that, and when I say homogenous, I mean people live their whole lives. Like we were talking to a friend of ours at dinner last night or a couple of nights ago, and he is the seventh generation to live in the place where he lives, on the land that he lives on. His parents and grandparents and great grandparents, no, his children are the seventh generation. Sorry. So I mean, but there are a lot more people who are from other places that live here. So it's kind of, and I think you experience. I think people are much more mobile all across the country. So I guess we're probably not unique in that regard. I would say that our sense of community. It is kind of funny that they people from some of the other markets at this meeting where we were talking, and they said, "What is it about Mississippi?" Because on paper, it's not the wealthiest place. It's not, a lot of the amenities and things like that. We're much more rural and that kind of thing. Much smaller areas, much smaller cities or whatever. High poverty rate, that kind of thing. But people go there and they don't want to leave. What is it about? And we said it's not something that you can really put your finger on, but there is that sense of place, that sense of belonging. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It's like welcoming.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, once you get plugged in and you kind of find that group, and it's the same thing that you guys, as you know, move into adulthood or whatever, you'll experience the same kinds of things probably. Maybe not to the same degree, but the key to finding that sense of community and that sense of place, that sense of belonging is getting in, getting involved, getting plugged in. For instance, I know part of yours is community. So, for instance, one of the ways that I plug in, my husband grew up in the city where we live. And so his dad was a police officer, his mom was a teacher. So everybody knew their family and who he is and whatnot. However, when I moved there, not quite so much. I grew up not too far away, but enough that we didn't know all the same people. So for me, the key was getting involved. We found a life group at our church that we, connected with him. So we have friends in that regard. I volunteer in a service organization called Junior Auxiliary, and I met a lot of friends that way. So it's the same kinds of things that you guys will experience as you move into adulthood, and that's going to be a key to you finding a place where you belong. And so there is a very strong sense of that here. Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll read over our questions because you answered a lot of them. I feel like. What does your community do to support one another?
There are lots of ways that my community and our community supports each other. It's everything from getting to know your neighbors and things like that to when you see a group or a family or whatever in need, just kind of jumping in to help and serving, to those who have much is expected. I think. And so I think the right thing to do is to help when you can, and where you can. So, looking for those opportunities, certainly not to be taken advantage of, but to be able to help and to maybe not a hand out, but a hand up kind of thing. that's kind of the tagline for our local Salvation Army chapter. It may be a national one. I don't. It may be their national tagline. I don't know. But our local here in the Jackson metro area, it's a fairly good sized organization, and the captain who is in charge of it, that's kind of his tagline, and I love it. It's not a handout, it's a hand up kind of thing. And so that's the thing, is kind of helping each other, and getting to know each other and connecting with each other, so that you start building, because part of it is building that trust, and making that connection, so that you believe you believe the best in people, and kind of until proven otherwise, you kind of accept that, best intentions and things like that. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Do you feel your community can relate to the community and the help?
I was telling another group, I do know people, friends of mine who, grew up in that time, and some of them did have housekeepers and whatnot that, helped their family or whatever. Um, so, I mean, there are some similarities. Tell me your question.
Do you feel your community can relate to the community and the help?
There are some similarities. For instance, the Junior League of Jackson is alive and well. They are a fantastic organization of about 900 women from across the Jackson metro area, and they do some amazing work. They do everything from our state's only children's hospital is located here in Jackson, and the Junior League, one of their committees is a group of ladies that goes, they take shifts rocking the NICU babies, so that moms and dads can have a break. And unfortunately, because we do live in a state with a 20% poverty rate, which is relatively high, um, there are parents who feel like they can't care for their children, and so they drop them off, and kind of hope that someone will take them in. That hospital is one of the safe places where they can do that. Now, that doesn't happen every single day, but there are babies up there, who need a family to love them, and whatnot. So I mean, like I say, the Junior League of Jackson is alive and well. They do projects, everything from a clothes closet to, um, let's see, they do put on events throughout the year. They were the driving force behind our state's children's museum, which opened about 5 years ago. Had it not been for the work of the ladies of the Junior League of Jackson, they would not be nearly as far along as they are. So in that respect, that organization is alive and well, and I know I have friends who are members of the Junior League of Jackson. And there is a social element to it, but those are also some very hardworking women, and they are women who have, some of them, probably are fairly well off, and enjoy a lot of the extras in life, but they also have a sense of community and a sense of service, a commitment to that service, and feel an obligation to serve, which I am so impressed by. I volunteer myself in an organization called Junior Auxiliary, and our focus is on projects that benefit children in our community. So there is a social element to it, and I've made some wonderful friends in that organization, friends that I probably would not have known otherwise. But so in that regard, there are some similarities. Obviously, I mean, just like your community is much more modern, ours is too. But there are some similarities. I mean, if someone needs a hand, or has a some sort of either illness or a death in the family or whatever, certainly people, their friends and their family, and their community is going to rally around them. And that could mean everything from the casseroles that they talked about in the health and whatnot to, whatever that need is. So,
You said that like they had housekeepers. Do they like treat them the same way as the people treated them in the book, or like did they treat them differently?
it's interesting because the people who, my friends of mine, the people that I know that had help when they were growing up, they would have been warm feelings for the help. So the people that I know were not the heads of the households who were actually hiring these and managing these housekeepers or whatever. So the people that I know that had help, all of them talked very warmly about their the people who helped their family. So, but again, they would have been the young, so just like in the book, Skeeter and Constantine had, a really close relationship. The people that are about my age or a little older who had these housekeepers would have been the children. So, I don't know any of their parents to know, how they treated them. I'm sure there were some instances where unfortunately they were mistreated, just like there are terrible bosses today, and there are people who don't manage employees well today. I'm sure there was some of that went on, but there were also some who took great care to take good care of those people, because why wouldn't you take good care of someone who is looking after your most precious cargo, your children? These are the people who are managing your family. Why wouldn't you want to do right by them and make sure you want them to be happy, and you want them to want to do well, and to take great care of your family,
Mm-hmm.
So
All right. What do you believe the role of communities in the South
Is today.
is today? Okay, sorry. So,
what do I think the role of community is?
yes.
That's a good question. You guys have asked some great questions.
Thanks.
Let's see. I would say the role of a community. First of all, I think everybody plays a part, and I think everybody has an obligation to contribute. If you're going to be part of the community, then I think it's incumbent on you to, unfortunately, there are givers and takers, and I think you should give more than you take where you can. I do think the role of the community is, I think it's important to be involved and to plug in and find your place, find somewhere that you feel comfortable. And I think that's on you. I don't think that it's on the community necessarily to come to you. I think that, a lot of times people are afraid to put themselves out there. And so they don't participate because they're afraid of whatever, whether it's fear of rejection or whatever. And I think if you're going to be part of the community, is it always going to go your way? No. I think you have an obligation to, to speak your mind and speak it and be honest about the things that are important to you. But I also think that, once if it doesn't go your way, I think you should also be gracious about it. So, I don't know. I realize that it's very important to people. I mean, because if you don't have that sense of community, there's that feeling of isolation and loneliness, and like you don't belong, and nobody wants to walk around feeling like that, right?
Right. Okay.
I think that's all of
Yeah.
them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, sure. I hope your project comes together well.
Thank you.
you.
All right, thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.